Hi, my name is Laura Greenwald, and I'm the author of Eye of the Beholder, True Stories of People with Facial Differences. I was first inspired to write this book back in 2004 after Cleveland Clinic got approval to do the world's first face transplant. That idea intrigued me of who would need a face transplant and why. And so I began to do some research, and I discovered that there are so many people out there with facial deformities who could really benefit from a procedure like a face transplant. I think one of the most fascinating stories in my book is about a gentleman named Bill Costa who had basal cell nevus syndrome. Because of the syndrome, which is a cancerous syndrome that essentially ate away much of his face, he lost his entire nose, layer by layer. Surgeons in New York actually reconstructed his nose in this clinically fascinating manner. They expanded the tissue on the inside of his forearm so that they would have material to work with in order to create a new nose. Then they took cartilage from his rib to shape the tip of the nose. The nose had to be attached to a blood supply because tissue without blood supply actually dies. After the nose was shaped and really left to set on his arm for several months, it was removed and transplanted onto his face. Now, this procedure was 20 years ago, and Bill's nose functions perfectly. He has no problems with it whatsoever. This procedure, to my knowledge, had never been performed again until earlier this year to help a young woman who was the victim of a drive-by shooting in her native Guyana. And again, the surgery took place in New York City. And it's absolutely fascinating. The other fascinating part, I think, of Bill's story is that when he found out that he had this syndrome, he also learned that he had a 50-50% chance of passing the syndrome on to his children. He was not willing to do that. The only problem is that when he found out about this, his wife was already pregnant with her first child. I highlight 9 people in my book, all of whom have different types of facial differences and have different types of experiences as well. The book really shows the resiliency of the human spirit, and it really delivers the message that, as my one friend in the book, Matthew, says, we're all the same except for the packaging. I hope that if you read this book, you'll learn that inside we really are all the same. We have the same hopes and dreams and joys and fears, but it really is just the packaging that's different.